Last episode we set off from Key West to Marathon, however some strange happenings occurred along the way as we started taking on water and lost our autopilot. After some repairs we were finally ready to set off on our first overseas sail.
So Adam and I have been route planning, and from Marathon what we plan to do is we're going to head across the Gulf Stream, and unfortunately we will be transiting the Bahamas. We definitely want to go travelling there at some stage, but right now we just don't have the time. So what we'll be doing then is going at the back of the Bahamas islands here, across the Bahamian waters and across to Turks and Caicos. So we'll be going from Marathon all the way to Turks and Caicos.
What's the go?
So it's about 7:30 in the morning and we've finally head out to Bahamas. There's somebody following us in their catamaran, so the thing keeps beeping. And this morning we've already had our leaking problem come back again, and our autopilot come back again. So when we pulled over the other day, we actually did nothing to fix the things apparently. But we might have found a fix for the leaking problem. We changed. I turned off the seacock that was on that side, on the port side of the boat, but it's leaking on the starboard side of the boat. So we assumed that the leak was coming from the starboard side, but it turns out it might be from a drain in the cockpit that might have a leak in it, and then the hose just goes all the way throughout the boat from port to starboard and back again. So it could very well be that one. The bilge pump hasn't come on after I turned off that seacock, so hopefully that's fixed the problem. And until then, we're manually driving. Yeah, autopilot just doesn't want to work.
Nick, where are we?
We're in Bahamian waters.
Bahamian.
We're in Bahamas Bank. What's it called? We are very tired, and it's pretty still out here, as you can see. So while the boat isn't really moving, we thought we'd jump in for a swim. What?
So we've just jumped in to the tropical clear blue waters of the Bahamas only to discover that we've got about a 3-inch chunk out of the front of our keel that I suspect happened on our way out of the lock that we bought the boat in.
So we've just had the first of our, what I hope will be the last, runner grounds, and it was a hell of a bump.
And Shara's driving.
Anyway, it doesn't look to be deep or bad enough to be, taking water kind of territory. It's not. I don't think it's the source of our current leaking problem, which seems to have subsided. It's just so frustrating to spend all that time cleaning up a hull, pay all that money to have it sandblasted clean and then paint it, only to then put a chunk the size of my hand in it right at the front of the keel that I need to now patch up. Anyway, it's another job for when it comes out of the water.
So Adam's just had a look at the logbook from the previous owner to see how many gallons an hour our motor runs on. And I was saying to Adam, yep, he uses 6 gallons an hour. So calculating it based on that, and we're like, to get across the Gulf Stream, we'll probably power through a whole 60-gallon fuel tank.
One of two.
One of the two 60-gallon fuel tanks. And we're like, it might be a bit expensive to top it up at the other end. And Adam's just had a look at the log. It's 0.6, not 6 gallons.
So yeah, that's great. So I'm really happy that
a bit of a win.
motor sailing is quite efficient. Like $36 to motor across.
Yeah, you're right.
Assuming it's $3
Yeah.
per gallon. $36 to motor from the States
To Bahamas.
to Bahamas. I'm pretty happy. I'll take that any day of the week.
Definitely.
There he is. Hey, buddy. Oh, you've been through the ringer. Oh, Cinderella.
Why do you always film me when I'm cleaning?
I just want to show the people of the world how dedicated you are to this boat.
It's so flat. It's like, may as well do something.
I know, that is one perk of not sailing,
Yeah, exactly.
motor sailing, is that you can really catch up on some chores.
Yeah, exactly. What chores have you done today, Adam?
I made
Catching up on
toast,
those chores?
I made
No,
some
no, no, no.
juice, I'm charging up the drone.
It's not a chore.
That is a chore. I'm having this conversation. Bit of a chore. I've got the dishes penciled in for later. Tentatively.
Because I asked you.
Tentatively penciled in for later. I can hear a pin drop. I can hear the gentle waves lapping against the front of the boat. Like just the tiniest little ripples on the front of the boat. It's so quiet and calm out here. There's no waves, there's no swell, and there's just the tiniest bit of wind, just enough to get us going. And we're doing like, what, 2 knots? 3 knots?
3.3.
3.3 knots from 5 in basically flat as a lake. And I can see the bottom. So cool. So much to process.
So cool.
I really want to jump in too, but
I'll probably leave you behind.
So Kiara's really doing it tough out here. She's really going without some of her favourite things. You'll note that this morning she's really slumming it with a variety of various flavoured pancakes.
Shut up. It was really hard to make them there when we're on a lean.
Oh, it's hell. It's hell. Sailing is rough. Would you like to tell everyone what flavours you have?
Sure. I have honey, I have jam, and I have peanut butter, and then another jam one too. And I'm very generous and I shared.
She did share. I got a fifth of a peanut butter pancake. You had no coffee for the skipper.
Not my
Not
fault.
a skerrick of coffee to be seen. You got Sarah.
So Adam, I think you have a confession for people.
Well, as it turns out, I was half right the other day when I said that the autopilot's new gremlin was a problem of my own making, but the reason I thought, the way in which I thought I had made it was not correct. So I've moved the fridge to a different circuit, or it's on its own power circuit. I won't say unnecessarily because it needed to happen, but as it turns out, I think 3 nights ago now, when we lost the autopilot and we were leaking and all that disaster, it was probably the middle of the night. We had just tacked back to shore. We're about 30 miles off the coast on the way to Marathon in Florida. And I don't know why I did it. I think I was just tired, and I felt there's a, I guess you could call it a grub screw or a tensioner screw on the side of the steering column that tightens up the steering. And I put my hand down there in my sleepiness and I tightened it up, because everything on a boat should be tight and fitting and snug. Nothing should be loose and sugary. That's wrong. Anyway, last night I was manually steering and I was getting tired of trying to find a heading. I was like, let's loosen off the steering a bit. And it loosened right off, way off. Anyway, we were using the autopilot intermittently as like a steering clutch. And guess what? It starts behaving. It starts moving around on maximum sensitivity, doesn't miss a beat, everything is fine, and it hasn't died for like 12 hours. Lo and behold, I over-tightened the steering column, over-tightened the tension in the steering, and it was overpowering the autopilot and causing it to intermittently give up and say you're on your own.
We're on day 4 of our journey, and we are by no means flying, but we are at least doing about 4 knots, and we're actually sailing. We're not using the motor. We've calculated we've done about 280 nautical miles so far, and we have about another 315 to go. I'm subtly suggesting I should pull my top on. So we are about halfway and should be about another 3 more days. We also are going to go through, instead of going down the south end of the Bahamas Islands to avoid any rocks and little areas of reef and stuff, we're going to go through one called Man of War Channel. So we apparently are estimated to get there, according to our chart plotter, we're estimated to get there about 7 AM tomorrow morning, and then we can nice and safely navigate our way through this channel because it is surrounded by reef. But about 2 nautical miles on each side is no reef, which we're trying to get through. But that's our plan for tomorrow morning, and that should cut down our time hopefully a little bit. So we'll see how we go with that one. Fingers crossed we don't crash our boat.
Okay. I don't really think you're going to be able to see this, but we're just passing through Man of War Channel now, and we've got Jamaica Key and Man of War Key on the right and left, and it's the first land we've seen in, well, since we left Marathon 5 days ago. And so I'm more excited than I thought I would be. I don't know why. Something about finally seeing land again makes me feel like we're almost there, you know, even though we're just over halfway. But we can do this. It's arrival day.
We hope.
We hope.
Our ETA is about 6 PM. So we've finally, after 9 days, sailed to Turks and Caicos. Well, soon we would have sailed to Turks and Caicos. From Florida.
Non-stop.
Yep. It's an obscenely long time, and we're just trying to... And we have thought many times about where we went wrong, as in how it managed to take us so long. I think it's just beginners. I don't know, just us being novices and beginners, perhaps we just have extended it a little bit longer than maybe an experienced person might have. Maybe what I'm just going to put it down to.
Yeah.
But I'm very glad to be finally within distance of land.
19.8 miles.
Yes. It's good, it's really good.
So close.
I feel so happy. We're finally almost here, we can see land.
Finally.
Yeah, the sun's behind us. We can almost see land.
We made it! 10 days.
9 days.
9 days. A whole bunch of broken equipment.
We haven't even told